I just don't understand men. I'm back from a red-eye flight from Hawaii. I'm in Scottsdale, my boyfriend's. I'm starving. I'm ravenous. I am malnourished. Hope you're hungry. For nothing. Pantry?
Why men love being single. No one is punishing him because she had a bad dream. He doesn't have to explain why he looked off for 2 seconds. He doesn't have to explain every normal behavior. Why he was in the bathroom for 5 extra minutes. Why he took a nap. Why he was quiet. Why he wants alone time. Why he's not in the mood to talk. Why he spent money on something that he genuinely loves that makes him so happy. A lot of women don't realize how much stress they can bring into a man's life if they're not paying attention. A man often feels like he has no autonomy when he's in a relationship, and that everything he does is wrong. But here's the thing is, in the beginning of the relationship, you seem to like him as he is. But then, as the relationship continues, you want to change everything about him. All the unique things that you used to do that made him happy, you sometimes stop doing, and instead you're hyper-analyzing him 24/7. You're asking him why he liked a specific post. You're asking him why he spent 5 extra minutes at work. You ask him why he wants to still see his friends. And then he's constantly under pressure 24/7 for the silliest little things when he never used to have to deal with that before. Ladies, you are not competing with other women. You are competing with a man's peace. If a man feels like it will be more peaceful to be without you, he'll usually choose peace.
Men want peace, okay? To make a man happy, you gotta give him peace, right? Now, listen. Peace to a man is disrespecting a woman and her just allowing it and she don't say shit about it. That's the peace he wants. He wants to disrespect you like a fucking dog and you don't say nothing about it. That's the peace.
I think that men need to learn how to enjoy their company, right? Because a woman, she could be alone and it won't really get, because she enjoys her company, right?
No. It's the same for a guy. And the thing is, you will learn to live alone, and that's where you get your strength as a guy. Where you start your projects, where you start your companies, your businesses.
But that's a good thing.
That's all on you.
Women are single and celibate by choice. Men are single and celibate for a reason. And I need you, if you are a woman going into dating or you're trying to let go of dating and be happily single on your own, I think so much of it comes down to adjusting your expectations and questioning where those expectations ever even came from. I think that a lot of us women, we go into dating and we romanticize the entire thing. And this is because of fairy tale thinking. And it's not your fault that that's what it was downloaded into your brain. We were watching that shit when we were 3 years old, all of the princess shit. Meanwhile, the boys are watching the hero shit, which shocking now that they have these gigantic egos. It's not surprising that we've both ended up in these situations. However, when it comes to dating, you need to drop the expectation that you're going to go on this first date. It's going to be magical. It's going to be amazing. Because what happens when you have these lofty expectations? You will no longer utilize your discernment. And that is on purpose by media, patriarchy, government, religion, your family, I don't know, whoever you want to say, right? But it's for someone else's benefit that you, for a lack of a better word, but also a word that will make you hear me on this, it's someone else's benefit when you are being stupid as a woman when it comes to choosing a man. And I don't mean that as attack towards a woman. I just want you, I know you're smart. I know you have the frontal lobe. I know you have an intuition. I know you have discernment. We just need to turn it on. And turning that on requires you to also turn off or turn down the volume on some other shit. And once you start recognizing that, that is being single by choice, because you are choosing to see the truth of what these men are presenting you with. Even if they're presenting you a bunch of bullshit, you can see through it because you're discerning. And you can recognize that they're single for a reason. Because I swear every time I've met a man, I'm like, you're single for a reason. It just might take longer for me to figure out and discern what that reason is. So I encourage you to recognize that fact and flip on the switch of your discernment as soon as possible. That doesn't make you a bitch. It makes you protecting yourself and creating your own happily ever after.
The narrative was supposed to hold. Single men are supposed to be sad. They're supposed to be eating cereal alone, drunk texting exes, quietly deteriorating without female civilization, maintaining their social and emotional infrastructure. That's the story. It's been the story for so long that entire institutions, media coverage, pop psychology, peer pressure from paired-up friends, were built around reinforcing it. The problem is the men didn't get the memo, or they got it and threw it away.
Okay, men, if you are not approaching women in the wild and you're not meeting them on dating apps, how are you expecting to meet them?
This video right here, in the question she asks, is a key difference between men and women. And she's asking this because she literally is confused. She can't understand that what men are doing, where they're going to find women. See, women make this claim that they're choosing to be single and that they're happy, but they continue to get on the dating apps. They go out with friends to meet guys. The whole I'm happy and single for a lot of women is cope. But men are abandoning the dating apps. They're finding hobbies, hitting the gym, working extra, starting businesses, getting dogs. And when they go out, they're just going out to hang with friends or catch the game. See, a large amount of men have completely exited the dating market and they have zero interest in it. And when they say that they're happy, they mean they're happy. But when women say that, they can't comprehend the fact that men are just done. They can't believe that men can live without them. And this is going to happen more and more. You're starting to see more of these type of videos. It's not about the approach, like why aren't men approaching anymore? It's about where the fuck are the men?
What women cannot psychologically metabolize is male contentment in their absence. Female contentment in male absence is rebranded constantly as independence, as healing, as self-discovery, as a Nora Ephron movie. Male contentment in female absence is treated as pathology, arrested development, or evidence of emotional unavailability. The same emotional reality, gender-swapped, produces completely opposite cultural responses. Men who are happy without women are broken. Women who are happy without men are thriving. The double standard has always been there. Men are just increasingly uninterested in pretending not to see it.
So am I the only one who absolutely hates being single? Because I've been single for a year now and it sucks. I'm not for the streets. I'm wife material. I'm not. This isn't fun. I don't like it.
Where do you find men? That is the number one question I receive on a daily basis by single women ever since I started sharing my single life or my dating life or etc.
Like a lot of men just don't talk to me. They'll stare at me, right? They'll think of me, but they don't talk to me. They don't fucking approach me.
I've given up talking to women. I think the stat is 45% of men ages 18 to 25 have never asked a girl out in person.
Where are the men? Who is holding them hostage? Please set them free. I am begging you.
This is what happens when you spend a decade punishing men for being men. Women told men to leave them alone, and men said, okay. Now suddenly it's, where are the men? Why won't they approach? Ladies, you just got exactly what you asked for.
I have never been, in my adult life, as chronically single as...
So you guys just want to stay single, right?
True. A lot of gentlemen out there would honestly rather stay single.
Because why else would you stop approaching women in public entirely?
Other than the reason that a lot of women have told men to leave them alone, they don't want them in their lives and they don't need them, quite frankly, a lot of women's personalities really aren't conducive to an actual conversation, let alone a relationship.
Because I feel like back in the day, like early 2000s, maybe the 90s, it was so common for men to walk up to women and, start a little conversation. Nowadays, that does not seem to happen anymore.
There's a lot of men out there have woken up and seen what some women out there are really like. So, frankly, most of them would rather stay single than risk being with some of the types of women that they see every day on social media.
So tell me, why is it that you guys would rather just die alone?
Because a lot of men have realized that it's not only easier, but it's much more peaceful being single. And not only that, but a lot of men have woken up to the fact that they have self-respect, and they don't need to be in a relationship to be considered a complete person.
Research in 2026 shows single people are often more socially connected than their married counterparts, and single men are prioritizing fitness and sleep at record rates. The lonely bachelor stereotype was always partially a projection, a narrative constructed to keep men motivated to pair up and stay paired up regardless of the terms. The actual data on male well-being in deliberate singlehood tells a more complicated story. Men who choose to be single, as opposed to being forced into it, consistently report higher autonomy, more time for friendships and hobbies, and lower chronic stress. The involuntary version is grim. The chosen version looks a lot like a good summer.
So yesterday, I made a video in which I put out my theory that the majority, or at least most men that are single, are not as lonely as a lot of individuals out there would like us to believe. In fact, from the majority of the comments from men, most men have actually found it rather peaceful being single. And this seemed to upset some individuals, and by some I mean some women, some of whom left some very disparaging comments in regards to what they thought of me. But it doesn't matter what they think of me. What I want to know is, why would some women get upset that men are more happy single than they were in relationships? Because I think we all know that sometimes it's worse to be in a relationship with someone that doesn't appreciate you than to be single and be by yourself, where you don't have to worry about impressing anyone or worrying about what they're doing. So why would some be upset about what the guys were saying?
The summer framing matters specifically because summer has always been the season where the display of male thriving is most visible. Shirtless, outdoors, social, tanned, unbothered. The women who spent the winter sending signals and not getting the response they expected are now watching the same men live fully without them. Every beach photo, every camping trip, every gym selfie that communicates not waiting on you is another data point updating their model of what their rejection actually cost them.
At the end of the day, all men want is to watch football, drink light beers in a jerk circle with each other, and just be gay for each other. That's what they really want.
Fascinating. Not the least bit true, but still fascinating.
They don't want to be in a relationship. They don't want to get married.
A person could actually say that about both men and women. A lot of individuals are actually choosing to remain single and are very happy for being so.
Since women can provide for themselves now, I feel like men have lost their purpose.
Their purpose? What exactly was a man's purpose prior to women being able to support themselves, I mean?
It's they don't feel the need to seek out a woman and start a family. They don't feel the need to work really hard to make a bunch of money to make a family and provide for a woman. They don't want to do that. They just want to be with each other in a jerk circle, watching football and drinking light beers.
I'm just going to say it. There's nothing wrong with a person choosing to remain single. It doesn't make a person a better person than someone else if they're in a relationship. There's nothing wrong with being single, and it's about time that some individuals out there accepted that.
Reasons men prefer to be single rather than date.
It's not that men prefer to be single. Everyone wants to find love. But the reason a lot of young men stay single is because they feel their duty is to provide and protect. And when I say provide, I mean financially and emotionally. And because of it, a lot of men are afraid that if they settle down while they're building up their career, it's going to take time away from their work and cost them more money. So they'd rather have casual relationships that don't slow them down until they reach a point professionally that allows them to provide for a partner. Follow for more and good luck.
The anxiety women are expressing about male summer happiness isn't about the men. It's about the calendar. The biological clock doesn't pause for a convincing Instagram post about independence. A 28-year-old woman watching a 29-year-old man post his happiest summer photos isn't worried about him. She's worried about herself. She's doing the arithmetic on her own timeline and noticing that the men she imagined would be available and eager in a few years are currently on a road trip and appear to have no particular urgency about her timeline.
Do guys feel this way too? Once you're really content and happy with your life being single and alone, it is really difficult to actually want to date. That's a super basic thing that's been said all the time, but once you're actually in it, it's a lot. You actually understand it. The best Friday night ever. I saw my friends. I hung out with my mom. We walked around IKEA and I just watched a movie. I literally worked because I wanted to. And yeah, I'm gonna get up early and go to a workout class. I'm starting a new side venture of horseback riding lessons tomorrow. I'm really excited. And it takes a while to get to a good spot, and it takes people different times, but it's you only wanna bring someone in that matches that energy, because it it's hard work to get here where you're actually genuinely happy. Food for thought. Dating's hard. Everyone will find their person, but you just can't force it. But it takes time. But you also have to put yourself out there, so it's a risk. And, you know, I have to remind myself, you can't miss what is meant for you. You can't say or do the wrong thing when it's your person.
That urgency gap, the asymmetry between how much the clock matters to her and how little it currently matters to him, is the real source of the anxiety. Not his fun, the fact that he can afford to have it while she increasingly can't. The summer won't last forever for him either. But for now, it's his, and there's not a thing she can do about it except watch the posts.
Yes, men are happy being single. They are. They're definitely enjoying it more than they used to before. And because I see it, you know, it's gotten harder to date, you know, lately. Men are very, like, satisfied in their lives without women. They are. They're like, you know, working a lot, either working a lot, or if they're not working, then, you know, they'll hang out with their friends, with their family, with their kids. Well, with their kids, it's a given. But yeah, they're happy being, if they're not married, they're happy being, you know, bachelors and having their own space and not having to, like, commit to anyone. So yeah, this wasn't the case before, but this is what it is now.
This was never really about them. Every man watching who's having the best summer of his adult life without a relationship at the center of it, that's not wasted time. That's the compounding that happens when you stop redirecting your energy into someone else's emotional needs and start pointing it at your own. The man who builds the best version of himself during this window will eventually choose from a position that makes the summer look like the prologue, not the peak.
The fascinating thing that I have discovered over my last almost 7 years of being single is that it's so much easier to just be content and happy and peaceful in your life than when you have a woman. You're not trying to make anyone else happy. You're not responsible for anyone else's happiness. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone. You're not trying to accommodate someone else's emotional swings. You're not trying to soothe her ego or her inability to come to terms with her own femininity. You're not trying to explain things to her all the time. You're not trying to educate her on the ways of the world. You're not trying to limit her spending because she is out of control and she's seeking validation through the things that she buys. You're not having to defend yourself against false accusations, but that's just the beginning of it, you know. Her continuous efforts to take control of the relationship through criticism and judgment and other forms of emasculation because she's insecure about her own place in the world. I mean, the reasons are just limitless. They truly are. And the deeper I go into this subject, the more and more I find. The more guys I talk to regarding their marriages and their divorces, it's just like an endless well of reasons why being single is so much better than being married. It makes me wonder if I could make a list, or if anyone could make a list that opposes this. Like, is there a possibility that someone can make a legitimate list that says that there are 50 good reasons to get married? And I just don't think I could. I mean, and I was married for 20 years, and I generally got some good stuff out of it, but I cannot think of even, I mean, aside from my kids and all the wisdom I got, and now I got a good YouTube channel where I can talk about it, but I can't think of any other good reasons, you know? One of the most powerful things I've gotten as a single guy is self-reliance. When you're no longer seeking approval from a woman, you become really self-reliant. And it's not just reliant like physically in terms of your money and your home and your job and that sort of stuff, but I mean emotionally and psychologically self-reliant. I can't tell you how powerful that is when you're not seeking anything from anyone else outside of yourself. You're not looking for anything You don't need approval. You don't need agreement. You don't need consensus. You don't need anything from anyone else in your world in order to live your life the way that you want to. That's a very powerful thing. And I don't think most men realize just how powerful it is when they give up their freedom, their autonomy to a woman or to a relationship. Now, I think that most of us, when we get into it, we think that we are going to be enhancing our lives in some way, that we're going to be adding value. We're going to be adding value to our lives. When in reality, what we end up doing is we end up sacrificing so much. And I just don't think that most people even begin to understand how much they're losing in this proposition. Because they don't know, or they don't understand the psychology of women and just how needy they frequently are. And I did a whole really good video on this, and I'll link that one here too, and you guys can look at it if you haven't seen it already. But it goes deep into the psychology of women and really does help you understand it. And I'm not just beating them up, I'm not just being, I'm not being misogynistic. I'm really trying to give you an accurate depiction of what goes inside a woman's mind when it comes to their experience and their role in relationships and how they interpret things. And I developed this from a lot of study, but a lot of questioning and a lot of experience with women in my life. And I think that it's a pretty accurate depiction. Now, they may not be perfect, and I'm sure some women may argue with me on certain points, but I think that as a man, if you watch that video, you're going to get a real sense for exactly what I'm saying, and you're going to recognize these things as being true. Most men have been gaslit by society from the time they were born to believe that women are angels, that they are especially good for some reason, that they have these characteristics, these attributes that are in contrast to men. Like, we're just not that good, and they are really, really good. And we have been led to believe that this is the case. And so we walk into these relationships conflating beauty with characteristics that we hold in high regard, with being virtuous. And that's what causes so much of our problems. And the irony here is that women realize this. They understand this psychology, and they also understand that we men frequently have this scarcity mentality when it comes to women. We have this issue in our heads that we think that women are the prize, that they are to be in some way held on a pedestal or in high esteem. And this is where we get into a lot of trouble, because then when we find an attractive woman, we end up submitting ourselves to them on some level, and we put ourselves in a position where we are, for lack of a better word, simping a lot of the time. And when you come across a woman who is very beautiful, very charismatic, there's a really good chance that she has some serious psychiatric issues, So you may come across a narcissist or a sociopath or a psychopath or someone who is struggling with just their own identity, and a personality disorder can really, really blow you up. And what's interesting about these personality disorders is that frequently these women realize that they have this problem, and they do everything they can to cover it up. But when you're living with a woman day to day, you don't realize exactly how bad it's gotten until it really hits you.
Stay strong, guys. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. Is this the summer men finally stopped performing sadness about being single, or is something else going on? Let me know in the comments.